Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's September 26th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And starting off looking at our daily chart here, very interesting. I talked about yesterday that our likely target was this measured move, and this blue line was previous resistance of the highs here where we broke out, and prices are finally coming back and retesting that. So we could get a bounce from here now. We very oversold here. We actually shot below. Notice that we actually traded below the measured move and the support area, but notice how we closed right at both of those targets. Um, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we don't get a rally here. So we're so far away from the EMA. Uh, Sometimes when you're really oversold like this, you could continue to push a little lower, but sometime in the next day or so, I expect we're going to see a bounce. Um, but we don't trade off what we think might happen. We have to wait till we see that happen. Obviously, this is just a daily chart, so it's just giving us clues as to what's probably going to come next. Just like the clues were here that we would probably go lower still yet. Uh, we've reached those targets. It looks like they're holding for now, and we're way oversold down here in this between this purple and brown line. When you get in there, you're severely oversold, especially when you get outside that brown line. So we're at a turning point here, or at least I wouldn't say a turning point, but we're at least at a point here where we could have a correction. I think this market was way overdone up here. Um, I just don't think the economy is as good as they say it is. I saw an article today where just for this month in 2023, there's already been 57 corporate bankruptcies, and we've had more bankruptcies in the 2023 than we had in 2021 and 2022 combined, according to that article. So that tells you right there that things are not hunky dory. These high interest rates are hurting corporations because of if they had any debt, outstanding debt, they're paying on it. It's costing them severely now, and so a lot of them are struggling. And I saw where one trucking company that employs 30,000 people shutting down. That's 30,000 jobs gone in a blink. Which that's just a small drop in the bucket. So I don't think the economy is anywhere near what we're being told. I think the stock market is telling us the same thing. If everything was as good as they're telling us, we'd be rallying instead of selling off here. So, however, now notice we do have two clear measured legs down. We could bounce here, and this market was way overbought for a long time. Didn't match what it should, and it doesn't mean we can't be way overbought again, even though the economy's not great. So I still think we got more room to the downside, although I think we'll probably get a correction somewhat here before we go lower. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, there it is. Very bearish day. We closed well off the lows, but still very bearish move down. So, I mean, that's from open to close. That's 77 points. That's a really big day. It really is. If that's from open to low, I should say, high to low. And if you go from open to close, 61 points. So we recovered about 15 points or so there before the end of the day. But really bearish day there. So let's flip over to the intraday chart, go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day. And here's a look at our 2,000 tick chart. We had this big sell off here early. We had a correction, moved to a new low, and we tried to go higher and couldn't, and ended up finding out all we did. Really, what we have is a huge spike and channel down. We just spiked down into this flatter channel, and even though we had a fairly decent rally here, it wasn't really strong that's right at the close there. That right at the 3 o'clock when everybody has to exit. So that's probably the buying of profit taking right there. But anyway, very bearish day. Somebody sent me their chart and wanted to know why something failed. They bought I'm trying to remember where they bought. I think they bought right in here. Um, you just can't. Don't buy a downtrend. Don't try to pick a bottom on a day like this. This is very bearish. Even right in here, this is very bearish. There's just no reason to buy in here until you know for sure that you got a strong uptrend going or continued uptrend. Don't buy anything. Don't try to pick a bottom. That's our number one rule: is don't try to pick bottoms. And when you got a bearish day like this, even though you got a break of this two-tiered channel and a new low, you want to see something consistent to the upside here before you buy. I mean, this is not a range day. We're not trying to pick a bounce off a range. And actually, that trader bought right in here, I believe, because we weren't even back down. We hadn't even made a new low yet. I think they had drawn another trend line down here and had a break and a new low, and they were trying to buy off that. But if you look at the big picture, we still hadn't even made it to the low here. We were somewhere right in here. It might have been right in here. I can't remember exactly where it was, but needless to say, don't try to buy on a downtrend day like this, especially if that trader's watching. I mean, you can sell on a downtrend day and make a mistake and still make money, but if you try to buy on a downtrend day like this and you make a mistake, not only will you probably lose, you'll lose your shirt. So don't it's like trying to catch a falling knife. It's dangerous. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Now, if it's a range day, that's one thing. But actually, I think that trader might have bought right here. I think that's where it was. So it was still early. But look at this big trend here, and you got a two-legged correction. The odds are you're probably going to be trying to shoot for a measured leg. So your target was way down here, closer to where we bounced the first time and got the break of the trend channel. So yeah, I think that's exactly where they bought, right here on that higher low. And so they were playing this as a break and a new low. But at that time, you really only have one leg to a new low, and a lot of times you'll get two, and then you got to, so you go long there and you're wrong, and you get stopped out, and it does go higher after that. But there's no reason to buy in here. This is not a range day at this point. You just need to sit tight. This is all chopping sideways. I don't see anything in there I'd want to buy. And in fact, you got these two swings here, and you get another swing here. Well, it gets confirmed here. Then you know you still got more room to the downside. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But anyway, just don't try to buy. You don't want to try to buy that right there. I mean, it's a little bit, it's congestion right here, a little bit of support, but you would want to see at least it equaling out over here. I haven't even measured that across there, but well, I guess that's close to being to that low. It's closer than I thought it was. I'd probably have it just like that. You really don't have it. You're still a little bit shy of making that low yet, so it's dangerous there. And he's buying this on a higher low is what this particular trader did. But anyway, I didn't mean to spend that much time on it. I just thought I would mention it. He's probably not the only one that bought there and paid the price. So don't try picking bottoms on these things. If you were going to buy, that would be the better place. It broke lower, gives you a triple test there, and then turns higher. You know, if you're going to buy, maybe you buy there, but I don't even like buying there. But that definitely looks a lot better because that just looks congested right there. You've got a nobody bar, a very tiny inside bar, and this does break lower and turn up. But until that closes, and then when it closes, you don't have much room back to the EMA, so I just don't think you want to buy there. But anyway, let's start out with the trades and work through them. 7 o'clock came just as we're making this high, and you make a failed breakout there. Then you make a lower high, nice signal bar, plenty of room back to the midline, EMA, all the way down. And this, if you catch that one trade right there at 7 o'clock, you almost, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a runner there. And that's probably all you need for the day. That's it. Let's just say you rode it to the bottom of the channel. There's almost 9 points. $462 a contract. If you just took it all the way till you got a close outside and a break above it, there's 13 points. Pretty easy move right there. And then, of course, we bounce off that side and we work our way. And this is when you know you got a fairly weak recovery, when you're working back across to a possible trend line and it's just going sideways. It's not going up, it's going sideways to get back to that trend line. That tells you the market's still weak. And again, you almost get a repeat pattern. You get a failed breakout with a lower high and a nice signal bar. I marked this one green. I didn't mark it red because look how many times we bounced at that midline across there. And you don't have much room there. So if you took this one, it'd probably have to be on when it broke by that bar, and that's, you don't make it, it just makes a 2-bar matching eye. So you really have to use this as your signal bar. And I just think it's really close. The odds are, since it proves that trend line, you're probably going to go lower. But just wait, and then all of a sudden you get a failure right here, which this is a little more advanced, so most of you couldn't take that trade either. But that's the better setup, and boom, look at it go. And then we start working sideways again off that midline. You do get a trend line right here with a confirmation, but that just looks a little too congested. There's not much room to these lows. Actually, you don't want to take anything in there because this is that 9 o'clock news item. From about 10 after till about 5 after 9, I just sit tight. And you get a correction here that breaks the trend line, and it just drops on down to a new low. It's just a first entry there, but plus this is your signal bar, the green bar. It makes the high or the swing. So you can't really use that as a signal bar, and you just don't get a chance to enter this one. There is a second entry short right there, but it's right into that low. Too risky. Doesn't even come back to the EMA. Turns out to be a great move, but you know, smart trader's going to wait. And then we run down here and we don't quite get to the other side. That tells you there'll probably be a break here. They're picking up some strength, and you did meet your measured move there too. And it kind of takes off here. Again, I don't see any reason to buy yet because we're still in this down channel. It's tempting. There's a second entry long right there, but you got to go long right into a double top almost. And you run up here. You actually get a second entry short right there at the key entry point. I didn't mark it. It's one that I should probably at least mark that green. Because you can clearly see the new low and first entry, second entry. And it's a good signal bar, very bearish, only 7 ticks. So yeah, you probably want to take that trade. There's a good chance it could still bounce off this trend line, but you got plenty of room back to it and the EMA. So I think you're probably okay taking that trade. I'll mark it green, but notice you get a break, couple legs up to a new high, and then it turns down. And you could argue that this confirms that trend line, but I think you need more evidence than that. So I'm not comfortable going short there on a third entry. Notice your new lows here: first entry, second entry, third entry. I'm just not comfortable going short there. We probably are, most likely you're going to test these lows, so just you want to wait for something to set up. And then notice we're working along here, and you get a failed breakout with a second entry short. It actually breaks higher and turns down. I marked this one green, but it's real close to being red. The way I would explain it, it's tempting to take that on the engulfing bar, and I probably would. If you wait for it to close, it looks like it may be going to bounce off that midline, and then you get an inside bar, which you can't use for a signal bar. So if you don't take that on the engulfing bar, you can't take that trade. So that's why I marked that green. If it would have broke on lower here, I would have said, okay, you could use that, put your sell stop 1 tick below, but it doesn't. It just gives you an inside bar. And then it tries to go lower from there and looks like it's going to fail, but it does go on lower. I just think the only way you can enter that is when it broke higher and turned down and gave you the second entry when it went past that engulfing bar. Lower high here with no signal bar, and then we just keep chopping down, but there's no setups there. Finally, we do make a new low. Looks like we might try to rally out of there, and we just start chopping sideways. There is a triple test right there, and we're kind of, notice it tried to go higher once, twice, 3 times. Plenty of room back down to this low. I meant to mark that green. I forgot to come back, but maybe you take that trade. And there's some bounces down there. There's even a triple test, but I don't like that. I don't like those dojis. That doesn't. It just, a lot of times when you get those, and you'll get another sidebar there, and next thing you know, you got congestion. And we did make a lower high here than this one, so I'd wait on a higher low. I don't know that I'd call that a higher low. It's definitely a triple test, but it's so close to the midline there. I don't know if there's room to scalp out there. But just the fact that there's not even enough room to scalp out. You're 1 tick shy, and then it's a doji on top of that. I'm just not crazy about it. I think you wait. Now you do get a triple test to the short side with plenty of room to get out. I like that one. So I marked it green. I'm not crazy about it, but it is a triple test with the trend, and you do have room there. You have those little 2-bar matching lows there. It kind of concerns me, but if it breaks lower, we're probably heading to the low again. And you do have a 2 points there to scalp out, so you got plenty of room. And of course, it bounces, comes back, gives you 2 legs back here, but no signal bar, and you can't go long back into the resistance there. And you don't want to go long yet until you get a few tests of this. We end up trending higher, but I just don't see anything there that I want to. It's just it's more sideways, congestion, lots of dojis. Of course, you get your breakout side. Actually, you get a closeout side here. It's not super convincing, but it's probably good enough, and then a new high. Then you make a lower high here, but I don't like going short there either. I don't think that signal bar is good enough. And then all of a sudden you get this big rally up. Well, the reason is prices were not back to this trend line, and they needed to get there first. And so suddenly prices run up. You get and you turn down right off this trend line. It's just a first entry, but this bar is like 3 ticks right off a key entry point. Good bit away from the EMA. I think that's worth risking. You're basically going to risk 4 or 5 ticks there by the time you add your stop, your entry point. So, and if you catch that, you probably ride it all the way down. But anyway, notice you come down, you get a first entry, then a second entry. Normally, I'd want to see this second entry come back to the EMA, but it is right off a possible trend line, but it's a test of the breakout area that acts as resistance. So it's going to be a failure if it turns lower, and it's probably going to head to the other side, which it does. And in fact, it just keeps going. I don't like going short here right into the lows, but drops on down, close outside, it rallies. Again, we're not looking for longs yet. It's still way early. Yeah, sure, there's a higher low there, and it works, but then it gives you a perfect second entry. Unfortunately, you probably don't get a runner on that one. And it's just too sideways there. But the way I looked at this, it looks like you get a leg down with a 2-legged correction and then another leg down. So that, and it breaks higher. So that looks like a first entry, second entry after 2 legs down. If it breaks lower, we're probably going lower. Just make sure you got room to get out. If you do, you're probably okay taking that trade. Again, you probably don't get a runner, but it's a quick, easy scalp. And then you get a close outside, a drop here, and you get an overshoot. And then that takes us into 230, and there's just nothing else really going on there. So, yeah, I mean, really from 9 o'clock till noon, we're just kind of chopping sideways here. So there's not a whole lot going on. We had a few trades early and then a few trades in the afternoon. But really from about 9 to noon, there's just not much going on. There's a few green shorts in there. And, you might argue for a green long or two in here, but I just don't think they're worth it. This thing's been very bearish the last couple of weeks, and I mean, it's been pretty bearish this morning. We do have two measured legs down, but that doesn't mean anything. You could always get another leg down. And if you measure this from here, that's probably what we get. And we got real close. We didn't quite get the next measured leg down. Usually you'll get two. Every now and then you'll see a third leg on a bigger day or like this. It's really bearish or really bullish. But anyway, that's how I saw it. You know, as bearish as it looks on the daily chart, it's not nearly as good a day trading because there's a lot of mixed trading in here with it. We had mixed trading here, then you get a big move, mixed trading, and then a big move, mixed trading, fairly decent move, mixed trading, another big move, and so it's just there's a lot of mixed trading in there. Really, this whole from 9 o'clock to noon was mostly mixed trading. And when I say mixed trading, you're trading in both ways with big fast moves in both directions, and you're not still consistently below the EMA trending lower. So anyway, that's how I saw it today. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Again, we could see a rally here soon. So just don't get caught off guard. Don't get fooled trying to buy too early, though. Look, when you get a big downtrend day, don't try to buy until you get a strong confirmed trend in the other direction after a break in a new low. And so even though you got a pretty good trend there, you don't have a break and a new low of this two-tiered blue channel yet. So you get a close outside and a new high here. Then you get, or let's just back up there. You get the close outside of the dark blue. We'll just forget the green one. Of course, you get a close outside and a new high there, so it's ready to turn down again. But you would expect prices, something that bearishly down, you're going to retest these lows. You're going to attempt to anyway. And so you get that here. And then you would expect if you're going to reverse, it's going to bounce hard. And you'll probably get a rally going. And you just start going sideways. And it looks like we're getting a little rally here, but it's mostly still sideways, even in that little uptrend. And next thing you know, you're going lower again. Wait till you get a good, if you saw a trend like this and you didn't get a break here and it just kept going higher after this break of the two-tiered down channel and the new low, then maybe you buy. But wait till you get that confirmed trend. Don't try picking bottoms. You'll see me mark some on range days and occasionally on a minor trend, temporary trend down. But on a trend day like this where it's mostly down, even when we're going sideways here, there's still you can still see the downward bias to it. Don't try buying. And if it was the same way to the upside, don't try selling. So you'll save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of easy, I mean, those are just gimmies for losing trades. Just like, you know, I talk about the two legs back to the trend line or key entry point in a strong trend. Those are gimmies almost. And same thing, it's a gimme loss if you try picking bottoms. All you're going to do is lose money. That's our number one rule. First rule we try to teach you is don't try to counter trend trade. Because you can, if you trade with the trend, you can be a little early or a little late sometimes and still survive. Because you're with the prevailing trend. Doesn't mean you always will if you're wrong, but you can a lot of times. But if you try to pick a bottom or a top and you're wrong, you're going to lose. You can't make any mistakes. So you got to be reading the chart perfectly. And most of you learning, new people learning, aren't that good at chart readers. You're just trading because there's a pattern there you see. This trader saw a higher low. Is that the reason I mean, maybe he thought he was reading the chart properly. But most likely it's probably because he saw a higher low and thought, okay, we're going to reverse, and he just traded the pattern. I mean, I don't know that. I'm just guessing, so I don't want to put words in that person's mouth. But that's what happens a lot. Even if that wasn't what he's doing, that's what people do. So we're chart readers. The patterns only help us time our entry price and our entry point. But we're not pattern traders. You'll see second entries and our entry patterns all over the chart, but if the context of the chart does not agree with that entry, you can't take it. And that's why this takes so long. You can learn the rules and the context, or I'm sorry, you can learn the rules and the entry patterns we use, but then you got to learn, figure out the context of reading the chart. Are they in the right place? Is the timing right? Would I be expecting that here or not, or would I be expecting something else? And that takes time. It takes a lot of time. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.